Hitler had his reasons for invading Poland. Maybe we should have sat around and analyzed him, and he would have stopped. Well, see, this is the problem with that, and I've heard that analogy, but as we discussed, as Danny and I just discussed, there's so many things that we have done to contribute to this that was not the similar as what Hitler did. Hitler just was crazy and wanted power. And to say Putin is like that is not accurate. It's not, there's no evidence of him doing that. We've bombed more people and killed more people since Putin has been in power than he has. I mean, I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm not saying, oh, he's the Gandhi of Europe or whatever, but it's not an accurate parallel. If you look at all of the things Hitler did leading up to invading Poland, all the laws that were passed that were racist and all of that stuff, Putin has not done that. He's done, he's done some oppressive stuff, no two ways about it, but he has not done that. He doesn't have Mein Kampf. He doesn't have this book where he's like, we need to take out the Jews and Hitler and Germans were mad about what happened in World War I. That has not happened. Putin has said, I don't want bases surrounding my country. We didn't surround Germany with bases and then Hitler had no choice. I mean, that's what we're doing. It's not the same. It's not a fair comparison. It just isn't. Again, that's not to say, oh, Putin's this great guy, but just the comparisons to Hitler in 30s, it's just not historically the same. It just isn't. So I just don't, it's not Hitler's invading of Poland was Hitler, the Third Reich. I mean, Hitler wanted to rule the world bigger than the Roman Empire. That's what the Third Reich was. And they try to paint Putin in those terms, but that's not the case. It's not the case. And again, this isn't me. I'm not glad Putin bombed today. I'm not glad he did that. But if you look at all the places he bombed NATO installations that have been recently fortified with more weaponry. He bombed bioweapon labs, NATO bioweapon labs in Ukraine. That's where he bombed because he doesn't want that near his soil. Again, we can't put this in the context of Hitler in the 30s. We have to ask ourselves how we would react. Imagine, I'll give you this scenario. You bring up a good question. I bring up this scenario to you. Let's say Quebec, which is the French-speaking province of Canada. And it identifies itself, Montreal and Quebec identify themselves more as French Canadian than regular Canadian. And let's say they started really let's say they started fighting, not being happy with the central Canadian government. Okay, this is all a hypothetical, but let's say it was starting to get to that point. Okay, and we didn't really, let's say America didn't have a friendly relationship with the Canadian government, but we had a friendly relationship with the Quebec separatists. And Russia then came in and started backing the Canadian government that we didn't like and putting weaponry up in Canada, Russian weaponry up in Canada. And then they stage a coup in, let's say, 2014, and they put a Russian puppet in power. And that Russian puppet, let's just for argument's sake, let's call him Trudeau, starts bombing the Quebec region of Canada, which is right on Montreal, is right near our borders, right? So we say, well, we're going to help the Quebec region because we don't want Russian military on the Canadian border. Can you look at it just from that terminology? I'm not excusing anything Putin has done. I'm not saying he's some great hero. I'm just saying, put it in that perspective. Americans have a really hard time viewing how we would be. We just view it from our terms and what we're fed in the corporate media. So view it in those terms. Imagine if that was the scenario. How would we react? And more Russian weaponry keeps coming into Canada and keeps coming into Canada. And they've been bombing Quebec for 8 years. And Russia and the rest of the international community is like not talking about it. But we see it. And Russia's kind of stirring up a civil war between Quebec and the rest of Canada. Imagine that. And this is right on our border. This is just happening to the north of us. And imagine, you live in Minnesota, North Dakota, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, any of the states that border Canada, Washington, Idaho, Montana. What would you be like? Fuck, man. And now Russia is screaming international, and this is bad. And China and Russia are like, we got to stop the United States from trying to take over Quebec. And we're like, that's not how we see it. I just want you to ask yourself those questions. Again, this says, I'm not defending Putin at all, but ask yourself those questions. And what if many people in the Quebec part of Canada identified more as Americans or whatever? You know what I'm saying? I'm just drawing, because that region, as Danny pointed out, they identify more with Russians, with Russia. They're sister cultures, right? It's like Canada and America, very similar sister cultures, right? Imagine that. Imagine how would we like this? And then there's Chinese bases in Mexico and Russian bases and Russian armament being amped up in Canada. We would fucking go bananas in America. We would be like, fuck that. And even if you were like, I don't like our current president, but I'm getting a goddamn gun and I'm not letting the Chinese military or the Russian army cross our, fuck that. That's what every American would. That's exactly what I would say that. If China was flexing its muscles and Russia were flexing its muscles the way America is, pacifist, don't like the Second Amendment, would be like, fuck that. Any Russian or Chinese soldier comes across America on our soil, fuck that. I will get a goddamn gun and defend America. I absolutely would. So what do you think they're doing now? And imagine if Russia outspent us like 3 or 4 to 1 on their military. And Russia, for the last 20 years, had been bombing the holy hellfire out of the Middle East because they wanted their oil. And it started wars in like Central America and, South America, kind of, not right on our borders, but goddamn in our hemisphere. How would we react? Because that's what we have done. I really want you to think of yourself. When I say this scenario, I get like uncomfortable with the notion of like Russian military in Canada or Russia or Chinese military in Mexico or Canada. I get really uncomfortable thinking about that. Now you know how they feel. There's all these interviews with Putin where he's like trying to be diplomatic. They never air them on American TV. Where is this? So I want you to consider all of that. Consider all of that. Shave your knuckles for justice. Boom. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. We are still in our 9th month of demonetization from YouTube. So support what we're doing at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, which is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. It's free to sign up, and there's a premium level at $10 a month. And for that, you get everybody on the platform's premium content. Myself, Lee Camp, Ron Placone, Jimmy Dore, Whitney Webb, Kim Iverson, Abby Martin, and many, many others. You can also support what we're doing at Venmo at Graham-Elwood and go to GrahamElwood.com. We have a PayPal button and a PO box. I also have crypto wallets, which are all in the show notes. Thanks for supporting what we do.